Well, hey y'all, another week, another unit, and in this unit, we're going to cover another hypervisor. Oh, why did that mess up like that? Anyway, we're going to cover another hypervisor, which is, it's going to behave and look a lot like ESXi. It is another type 1 hypervisor that runs on, essentially bare metal. We're going to run it in a VM, but that's the idea. So you would replace an operating system on your server with XenServer. So that's kind of the idea. So in this week, do watch this video. It's gonna go over the same exact stuff that you're gonna go through during the lab. I mean, this stuff, starting with about step 5, is where this video kind of picks up. So you can see exactly how to run through all of this. And I'm gonna show you. We're kind of at a crossroads now where we get to pick. After this, it's gonna be all done remotely on System Center, which runs Hyper-V, and you get a bunch of VMs out. I mean, technically, I guess you could call it the cloud. I mean, it is someone else's computer that you are using. That's kind of the idea. But for now, you can go either way with it. If you had some success with ESXi last week, then running XenServer here at home in under VMware Workstation, that is an option for you. So you can do Unit 4 Lab here, installing on home PC, or you can do Unit 4 Lab installing in System Center. If one of them gives you trouble, you can do the other. Like I said, as long as you had success with ESXi, the home PC one is going to be available to you. I mean, if not, we'll work through it. We'll figure out what it is that's holding you up, and we'll go from there. So the Citrix XenServer user guide here is where all the quiz questions are going to be coming from. So have that open while you're going through your quiz. And again, Control F is your friend, so use that to find whatever it is, whatever information the quiz is asking for. Use Control F in that user guide to figure out what the answer may actually be. If you're going to be doing this at home, installing on a home PC, if you pulled this one down, you had success with ESXi, and you want to do this there on your desktop or your laptop, this is the ISO file that you're going to need to install XenServer there at home. So click on this. It's a Google Drive link. Just download the thing. That's it. That's all you got to do. Download this, and you'll pop that in just like you did with ESXi. You'll do a very similar process to ESXi. If you're going to be doing it on System Center, so you had trouble with ESXi or something, or you would just prefer to not do it on your own machine because your machine is slow, or you just don't have the space for it, or whatever the deal may be, you can turn your attention to the System Center, and you can run your VMs there. The only real downside to that is it takes a little while to connect up to it. There are a few steps that you got to go through. I'll show you how to do those today. And it tends to be slightly slower than if you, like I said, if you had success before, the System Center might be a little bit slower because you are running a couple of VMs next to everybody else's couple of VMs, and there's about 30 of you in here. So, yeah, there's a lot of VMs running, so be patient. Things might take just a minute to happen. So don't get overly excited and, start smacking that X button or tapping your foot or whatever. If it's taking a little while, stand up, take a break, stretch a little bit. I forget to do that way too often, and I should do that more. Anyway, so if you plan on doing it at home, Unit 4 Lab right here, installing on home PC. Unit 4 Lab installing in System Center if you had trouble or just want to do it on somebody else's machine. That's the idea. Now, I've got it listed out here. You do not need to do both. Please do not do both. Just do one. Whichever one you choose, take that all the way to the end, and then you are done. You do not need to do both. So either the home PC, submit that, the PDF. So this one's going to have you do the same thing where you're going through and, snip this, snip that, add it to your Google Doc. That's this. Or System Center screenshot. There's only one screenshot in System Center. And that doesn't mean there's less work. You do the exact same thing in both labs. for System Center, what I really want is for you to give me a screenshot to let me know that you are done so that I can go into System Center and actually grade all of your stuff. That's the idea there. So, yeah, same points, same requirements. You do the exact same steps in both. It's just that I grade them differently. In the home PC one, I grade it here in Moodle. In System Center, I log in and then just go check on stuff. That's the idea with that. So again, just submit one, whichever one. If you're doing home PC, there's a PDF that you need to submit. If you're doing System Center, just one screenshot at the very end to let me know that you're done. That's the idea. So again, WebEx, if you, and I've already had a couple of questions this morning, and that's perfect. I appreciate those questions because it means that you're that you're working on stuff. You might have hit a brick wall. You need a little bit of help. I'm here to help you. That is entirely my job, is to make sure that you get all your work done and you understand what you're doing while you're doing it. That is the most important part. So please, 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 the hours are here where I will be sitting in WebEx. I mean, from 10 to 11, we're really kind of doing this. But, outside of that, these are the hours that I am sitting in WebEx waiting for you to ask me a question. Not that you can't ask me a question outside of this, right? I mean, send me an email over over the evening. I'll get it to you in the morning. Or send me a Hangouts message or something like that. I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can. But during these hours, I'm waiting for you. So you'll get a really quick answer to your question if you come and hang out with me for a little bit, ask your question, and we can work through it. One of the benefits of this is that WebEx has screen sharing, so I can see what you're doing, as opposed to just back and forthing over email trying to figure it out. I'm trying to imagine it or something, right? So please, please, please come into WebEx during these times so I can help you. You get a lot faster feedback that way. Otherwise, there's nothing wrong with emailing me, right? As I mentioned before. So please, please, please do that. Your case project. Again, hey, super simple. This one should be another easy grade. Just go dig up a few companies that are, three. Three companies that are using Citrix XenServer. As a matter of fact, this is what we use here at one of the hospitals here locally. So I stay in touch with some of the employees over there, and they run Citrix XenServer. So I know that there are plenty of companies all over the place that are using XenServer to do things like virtual desktops, right? So keep in mind, these hypervisors can do more than just run a VM in a corner. They can kind of take, so you're running a Windows VM, for instance. The desktop that you get in that VM, they can send that to what's called a thin client. So just basically a machine that doesn't have a hard drive of its own, has memory of its own, has a motherboard, has USB ports and things like that. But the operating system is not located at that box. The operating system is on the Citrix XenServer in the case of this hospital. And anytime a user logs in, their profile is sent from Citrix XenServer onto the desktop that they get there. But, again, everything is on a VM on Citrix XenServer. So what the user is logging into is not a real, full, actual computer with Windows installed into it. Windows is coming from XenServer. So you can do things like that with it as well. And that is how this hospital handles all this. So anyway, so dig up some companies that use Citrix XenServer, and then just give me a link where all that came from. That should be an easy A on that one. Submit your PDF there, right? If you're doing that in Google Docs or in Microsoft Office, in Office, export as PDF. In Google Drive, download as PDF. So now the last thing that I want to show y'all before you just scurry off and get started is if you choose the System Center way. So home PC, the instructions are similar to what you saw in ESXi, right? I mean, download the ISO or have the ISO. This is how you'll set it up. Choose guest OS other, name it XenServer, give it this much RAM, that whole thing. This is something that you've already all done before. And once it boots up, you get a screen pretty similar to what you got in ESXi, right? This old chunky style looking install screen. You get all the way through that, right? Once you get to this point, it's very similar to System Center, but again, you're doing it in VMware Workstation as opposed to System Center. But if you chose the System Center avenue, then connecting up is a little different. Getting access to your stuff is a little different. So, because I am on Mac, and for some reason, I was going to install Remote Desktop before I started the lab, but before I started this recording, I was like, yeah, it'll totally be fine. And then, yeah, my app store, it just crashes. It doesn't do anything, so I can't install stuff. Thanks, Mac. I appreciate the way that you do stuff, Apple. You are amazing. So instead, I'm going to show you how to do this in Windows 10 VM because that's what I got. All right, so first things first, you are going to remote desktop into your own session in System Center. So note the IP address here. Use remote desktop to connect to 161.109.35.13, right? Note that IP address. Make sure that that IP address is exactly correct. You can't fudge this. If you put 14 there, no, it's not going to work. If you put 34 there, not going to work. If you put 108 there, it's not going to work, right? So make sure it's exactly correct. Hit connect. Then you should get, the very first time, are going to get a, let me see if I got a screenshot of it. Nope. You're going to get a username and password. And typically that's going to be student. So see how CGDVM is here. You will have student here, / your username. And so right here. So in the Moodle class, right before this unit, unit 4. So it doesn't matter to me how you get to it. On the left-hand side, click on accessing virtual machines, or if you're in unit 4, there are these little breadcrumb thingamajigs here. Click on that. That'll take you to accessing virtual machines. Once you get there, right here. So this PDF is going to tell you how to do this, right? Yeah. So here's the remote desktop connection stuff. Here's how you do it. You're going to use student and your username. Right. So just follow this through. Yep. So same username as Moodle. So whatever your Moodle username is, that's what that's going to be. All right. Here's a video just in case you need it. How to go on through that, but I mean, we're kind of covering that now. There's that. All right. So here, don't worry about this. This is okay. You can check this. Don't ask me again for connections to the computer. I leave it off just so that if I do it in front of somebody, they see that. So it's just a more comfortable thing to see. Don't worry about it. If you trust the far side machine and at this IP address, you should. And then from here, virtual machine manager console. So notice though, the first time you start this up, this is going to say localhost. Make sure you have this IP address in there, 161.109.16.15, but do not take off that port number. Leave that port number there. If you erase it, put it back. :8100. Make sure that that is there. So this is the right choice here. Use current Microsoft Windows session. You're logged in as your domain user there at TSCC Waco. So we want to use those credentials that you logged in with to connect. This does take a minute. So again, as I was mentioning before, I mean, don't let it Don't let it get you frustrated. Just have patience as this stuff is all booting up. Especially during the daytime. This is when this server is most active. All right. So you will not see this many. You will see probably like 4 or 5. So let me whittle it down to just mine, and then you'll be able to see. Yeah, so you'll see about 4. So the ones that you want to see are XenServer. So this is the one that you'll be using for your lab for XenServer. Make sure it is powered on. So in this here, I mean, certainly follow the instructions, but this is just more of a basic overview of how to use this software, System Center, the virtual machine manager here. So right-click here, and you'll get a lot of the same features that you get in VMware, right? You can create a new a clone of this. You can shut it down. You can power it off. If it is off, you want to power it on. And pause it, reset it, save the state. You can migrate it if you want to. The more important bit is this right here, connect or view. So you want to connect via console. And this will be the same as in VMware Workstation, like going to one of those tabs that you have. And then at this point, this should match up with the lab right here. So once you hit step 5, it's pretty much just make sure everything is selected the way that it needs to be. Choose QWERTY, click OK, accept the EULA, star all the boxes using tab and space, hit OK, right? And then just go through the rest of that. And then this is going to be getting XenServer on your Windows 10 VM. So when you close out of this, it doesn't turn the VM off, so feel free to do that. Notice the little play button's still on, still running. So I'll start up my Windows 10 VM. So I started up last night just to be sure. And yeah, it's going to drop you at setting up Windows. So I mean, it's going to be the first time that you booted it. You don't have to go through the install, but you are, stopping at the point where you set everything up. So there you go. Hi there. Make sure you choose all of the right stuff. Next. Go all the way through all of this stuff. And yeah, so XenServer should already be installed in your VM. And just go through the instructions. Pretty much it. So this is going to mirror a lot of what you did in ESXi. So this stuff should pretty much all be very familiar to you at this point. All right. If you run into any issues, please let me know. For anybody that was having issues, where did everything go? There we go. For anybody that was having issues on ESXi, so it seemed to me to be that the students that had already had a VMware Workstation trial installed before, they had to go with VMware Player, or they just went with VMware Workstation 16. If you are either of those groups, VMware Workstation 16 or VMware Workstation Player Pro, or Player, whatever the player is, then you might be having issues connecting to your ESXi machine via IP address. So when ESXi comes up, it has an IP address there on that gray and yellow screen. You follow the instructions and you open up a browser and you type in the IP address, and it just doesn't get there. We've had some success going into the virtual network settings. So if you go to, in your VMware, go to Edit, and then Virtual Network Settings, I think is what it's called. You'll want to make sure that the bridged, so it should be the first one there, and I wish I could show you. I think I might do another video here in a little bit, just showing you how to do this thing, how to set a VM to bridged. So I'll probably do that. Anyway, so you'll go to bridged, make sure that the connection that you are using to connect up to the internet is in that drop-down box, and then just hit OK. Then on your VM, you'll do the same thing. You'll go to the VM settings, go to the network, and then make sure you change it from NAT to bridged network. Hit OK, start up ESXi, and we've had a lot of success with actually getting that to work. So you are able to connect at that point. Anyway, so I just wanted to throw that out there just in case you're having problems with ESXi. Get with me. I will walk you through how to do the bridged change if you need help with that. And like I said, I'll probably do a quick little 5-minute video of how to actually do that, so you're not just having to imagine it instead of seeing it. But that should do it. So so get this video watched. This is where all your quiz stuff is going to come from to answer all that. Only do one. Do it on your home PC with VMware Workstation Pro, or do it in System Center with all of your, after you log into it. Submit one or the other. PDF with your screenshots or a single screenshot for System Center. Come talk to me if you need help and get that case project done. That'll pretty much do it for the whole week. And yeah, we should be good.